Listen to me carefully. I am Solomon, the wisest king who ever lived, the man who possessed wealth beyond imagination. And I'm here to tell you something that will shake you to your core. Right now, as you watch this, there are men walking among you who are about to explode into incredible wealth. But here's what's eating at you. You can't see it coming. You don't recognize the signs. While you're chasing the obvious, while you're following the crowd, these silent giants are positioning themselves for massive breakthroughs. You think wealth just happens overnight. You think success is random. Wrong. There are 7 silent marks. 7 invisible signals that separate those about to become rich from those destined to stay broke forever. I built an empire. I commanded gold from every corner of the earth. And I'm about to reveal the exact patterns I observed in every man who rose to extraordinary wealth. But here's your problem. If you can't recognize these marks in yourself, if you can't develop them starting today, you'll watch everyone else get rich while you stay exactly where you are. The next 20 minutes will either transform your financial destiny or confirm your mediocrity. Which will it be? The mystery of silent marks. Here's what nobody tells you about wealth. The richest men I ever ruled alongside didn't look rich. They didn't act rich. They didn't even smell rich. But something was different about them. Something you could feel but couldn't name. Listen to me. Wealth is not always visible at first. In fact, the most dangerous kind of wealth is the one that grows in complete silence. While everyone else is making noise, flashing their temporary gains, the truly wealthy are building empires in the shadows. You think wealth is about what you can see. You think it's about the car in the driveway or the watch on the wrist. You're looking at the wrong thing entirely. God marks character first, then assets. Always, without exception. I learned this ruling over the wealthiest kingdom on earth. The men who controlled real power, real influence, real generational wealth, they all had something that preceded their success. They were marked, invisibly marked, spiritually marked. And here's what will blow your mind. These marks showed up years before the money did, sometimes decades before. You want to know why most people stay broke? Because they're looking for wealth in all the wrong places. They're studying bank accounts when they should be studying souls. They're chasing symptoms instead of causes. The truth is brutal but liberating. Silent preparation precedes public manifestation every single time. Think about it. Every tree that bears fruit spent months, sometimes years, growing roots you couldn't see. Every building that touches the sky required a foundation buried deep underground. Every empire that lasted generations was built on principles that took decades to develop. But here's your problem. You live in a world that worships instant results. You've been programmed to believe that wealth should be immediate, visible, flashy. That's exactly why you're still waiting for it. The men who are about to become incredibly wealthy, they understand something you don't. They know that the most important work happens where no one is watching. They know that character development is wealth development. Are you starting to see this differently now? While you're scrolling social media looking for get-rich-quick schemes, they're developing discipline. While you're complaining about your circumstances, they're building integrity. While you're seeking recognition for every small victory, they're working in complete silence. This is not mystical nonsense. This is practical reality. I watched it happen over and over again. Men would come to my court with nothing but character, and within years they controlled territories. Men would arrive with flashy wealth but no substance, and within months they lost everything. The pattern was always the same, always. God marks character first. The universe responds to who you are, not what you have. Success flows toward prepared vessels, not desperate hands. And here's what's keeping you trapped. You're trying to attract wealth with the same character that created your current financial situation. How's that working for you? The silent marks I'm about to reveal to you are not just signs of future wealth. They're the actual building blocks of wealth. They're the invisible infrastructure that supports every financial empire ever built. But you have to understand something critical. These marks are not developed overnight. They're forged through fire, shaped through pressure, refined through repeated choices. Most people give up before the marking is complete. They want the result without the process. They want the harvest without the seasons of growth. That's exactly why they stay exactly where they are. The men who recognize these silent marks in themselves, who choose to develop them regardless of their current circumstances, these are the men who inevitably break through into extraordinary wealth. Not because they got lucky, not because they had connections, but because they became the type of person wealth naturally flows toward. This is about to get very specific, very practical, very uncomfortable. Appearance of wealth versus internal signs. Stop being fooled by the show. Stop falling for the performance. That guy with the rented Lamborghini posting on Instagram. He's broke. That woman flashing designer bags she bought on credit. She's drowning in debt. That entrepreneur bragging about his 7-figure business while secretly borrowing money for groceries. He's 1 month away from bankruptcy. Appearances deceive, always, without exception. And here's why this matters to your financial future. If you can't tell the difference between real wealth and fake wealth, you'll spend your entire life copying the wrong people. You'll study the wrong habits, you'll adopt the wrong mindset, you'll chase the wrong goals. And you'll stay broke while thinking you're on the right track. Listen to me carefully. Cars, clothes, and flaunting are not proof of wealth. They're usually proof of desperation. They're usually signs that someone is trying to convince themselves and others of something that isn't true. Real wealth whispers, fake wealth screams. I ruled over men who controlled the gold mines of Africa, the trade routes of Asia, the agricultural empires of the ancient world. And you know what? Most of them looked ordinary. They dressed simply. They spoke quietly. But when they walked into a room, power followed them. Not because of what they wore, but because of who they were. Are you starting to understand the difference? The real marks of wealth are invisible and recognized by few. That's exactly what makes them so powerful. While everyone else is chasing the obvious, the truly wealthy are operating on a completely different level. They're not trying to look wealthy. They are wealthy from the inside out. True wealth begins within. It starts with thoughts, grows through character, manifests through decisions, and only then shows up in bank accounts. But here's what society has backwards. We've been taught to focus on the external results while completely ignoring the internal foundation. That's like trying to grow a tree by gluing fruit to dead branches. It looks impressive for a minute, but it doesn't last. Why do you think so many lottery winners go broke? Why do you think most people who inherit wealth lose it within a generation? Why do you think athletes and celebrities with massive incomes still end up bankrupt? Because they had the appearance without the foundation. They had the money without the marks. And money without marks is temporary money. It's borrowed wealth. It's an illusion that reality eventually corrects. Here's the brutal truth about appearances. The more someone needs to show you they're wealthy, the less wealthy they actually are. The more someone talks about their money, the less money they usually have. Real wealth doesn't need to prove itself. It just is. Think about the wealthiest people you know personally, not the ones you see on social media. The ones you actually know. How do they dress? How do they talk? How do they carry themselves? I guarantee they're nothing like the wealth performers online. But here's where this gets dangerous for your future. If you're trying to look wealthy before you are wealthy, you're actively preventing yourself from becoming wealthy. Every dollar you spend on appearances is a dollar not invested in your future. Every moment you spend crafting your image is a moment not spent building your substance. And every time you choose perception over reality, you move further away from actual wealth. The internal signs of wealth are completely different from what you've been taught to look for. They're about how someone thinks, not how they spend. They're about how someone responds to pressure, not how they respond to success. They're about character under stress, decision-making in darkness, integrity when nobody's watching. These signs are invisible to most people because most people are looking at the wrong things. They're focused on the fruit instead of the roots. They're studying the performance instead of the performer. But you're about to see something different. You're about to recognize the actual marks that precede massive wealth, the signs that show up years before the bank account changes. And once you see these signs, you can't unsee them. Once you understand these marks, you'll recognize them everywhere, in yourself, in others, in the people who are about to break through. This knowledge will change how you evaluate people, how you choose mentors, how you select business partners, how you assess your own progress. Because the truth is, these internal signs are far more predictive than any external display. They tell you who's actually building wealth and who's just performing wealth. Are you ready to see what real wealth looks like before it becomes visible? The 7 silent marks. Here they are. The 7 marks that separate men who become wealthy from men who stay broke forever. But understand this first. These aren't just signs. These are the actual building blocks of wealth. Master these and money becomes inevitable. Ignore these and you'll struggle financially for the rest of your life. Mark number 1, serenity in the face of scarcity. Most men panic when money gets tight. They make desperate decisions. They take terrible deals. They compromise their values for quick cash. But the men marked for wealth, they stay calm when the account hits zero. They maintain their composure when bills are piling up. They keep their dignity when everyone around them is losing their minds. This isn't about being foolish with money. This isn't about ignoring reality. This is about having unshakable confidence that abundance is certain. Do you panic when money runs low? Do you make emotional financial decisions? Do you feel desperate when resources get scarce? If you do, you're not marked yet, and wealth will keep running from you until you develop this mark. The wealthy understand something you don't. Scarcity is temporary. Abundance is permanent. Money comes and goes, but the ability to create money is forever. When you operate from this understanding, you make better decisions during tough times. You don't sell your future for present relief. You don't take desperate action that creates worse problems. You wait, you plan, you prepare, and when opportunity comes, you're ready to strike. Mark number 2, hunger for wisdom. Poor men chase money. Wealthy men chase knowledge. The marked man values advice more than immediate money. He'll spend his last $100 on a book before he'll spend it on entertainment. He'll drive across town to learn from a mentor before he'll drive across town to make a quick buck. This mark shows up early. While other men are asking, "How can I make money fast?" the marked man is asking, "What do I need to learn to create sustainable wealth?" He studies his mistakes like a detective studies crime scenes. He extracts lessons from every failure. He turns every setback into a setup for a comeback. Are you hungry for wisdom right now? Are you investing in your education more than your immediate comfort? The men about to become wealthy, they understand that knowledge compounds faster than money. They know that one insight can be worth millions of dollars. They know that wisdom is the ultimate leverage. But here's what most people get wrong. They think they can learn their way to wealth without applying what they learn. They become professional students but never become practitioners. The marked man is different. He learns, then implements. He studies, then acts. He gains knowledge, then uses it to create results. Mark number 3, detachment from recognition. This one will surprise you. The man marked for wealth doesn't need applause. He doesn't crave acknowledgement. He doesn't seek validation for every small step forward. He works in silence without seeking applause. He builds his empire away from the spotlight. He knows that the harvest will come at the right time, and he doesn't need to announce every seed he plants. Think about this. How often do you share your wins on social media? How much do you need others to know about your progress? How important is it for you to get credit for your efforts? The more you need recognition, the less ready you are for wealth. Because real wealth is built through thousands of small actions that nobody sees, hundreds of decisions that nobody applauds, decades of discipline that nobody witnesses. The marked man understands this. He's comfortable being invisible during the building phase. He knows that significance comes after success, not before it. But here's the deeper truth. When you're not addicted to recognition, you can focus entirely on results. When you don't need applause, you can work on what actually matters instead of what looks impressive. Mark number 4, resilience in the face of trials. Every wealthy man I ever knew was forged in fire, every single one, without exception. The mark of future wealth is not avoiding losses. It's enduring losses without breaking. It's coming back stronger after setbacks. It's treating failure as education instead of evidence. How do you respond when things go wrong? When the deal falls through? When the business fails? When you lose money you couldn't afford to lose? Do you quit? Do you blame others? Do you make excuses? Or do you analyze what happened, extract the lessons, and come back with a better strategy? The marked man bounces back, not because he's stronger than everyone else, but because he processes setbacks differently. He sees them as necessary steps in his development rather than evidence that he should give up. This mark is developed through experience. You can't learn resilience from a book. You develop it by facing real challenges and choosing to keep going when everything inside you wants to quit. And here's why this matters so much. The path to wealth is littered with failures. Every wealthy person has a graveyard of failed attempts behind them. The difference is, they kept going when others gave up. Mark number 5, non-negotiable integrity. This might be the most important mark of all. The man destined for wealth will not betray his values for quick gain. He chooses truth even in the dark. He keeps his word even when it costs him money. You think integrity is expensive? Try dishonesty. Try cutting corners. Try betraying your values for short-term gain. It will cost you everything, every time. The marked man understands that reputation is built over decades and destroyed in minutes. He knows that trust is the foundation of all wealth. He recognizes that character is the ultimate business asset. But here's what's fascinating. The man with non-negotiable integrity actually attracts more opportunities than the man who compromises. Why? Because people want to do business with someone they can trust. When your word is your bond, deals come easier. When your character is solid, partnerships form naturally. When your integrity is absolute, wealth flows toward you because people know they can count on you. Are your values negotiable? Do you bend your principles when money is on the line? If you do, you're blocking your own wealth. Every compromise weakens your foundation. Every shortcut creates a crack in your character. Mark number 6, vision beyond the immediate. Poor men think about paychecks. Wealthy men think about legacy. The marked man is not just thinking about profit. He's thinking about impact. He's not just building a business. He's building something that will outlast him. He sees opportunities where others only see problems. While everyone else is complaining about the economy, he's identifying gaps in the market. While others are focused on what's wrong, he's creating solutions. This mark shows up in how you spend your time. Are you focused on immediate gratification or long-term results? Are you building something that matters or just trying to get by? The wealthy think in decades while the poor think in days. The wealthy plant trees they'll never sit under. The wealthy solve problems that don't affect them personally. Why? Because they understand that the biggest rewards come from the biggest contributions. The most wealth flows to those who create the most value for others. But here's the challenge. Vision requires sacrifice. Long-term thinking means short-term discomfort. Building something significant means saying no to immediate pleasures. Are you willing to make that trade? Mark number 7, hidden generosity. This one will shock you. The man marked for wealth is secretly generous. He helps others without flaunting it. He creates prosperity around himself without expecting recognition. He understands something profound. Wealth is not about accumulation, it's about circulation. Money flows toward those who help it flow to others. The marked man gives before he has abundance. He helps others before he's helped himself. He creates opportunities for others while building his own empire. But this isn't performance generosity. This isn't giving to look good. This is strategic abundance thinking. He knows that when he lifts others, he rises himself. Think about the wealthy people you know. How do they treat waiters? How do they treat employees? How do they treat people who can't do anything for them? The truly wealthy are kind to everyone because they understand that everyone is connected. They know that burning bridges limits opportunities. They recognize that helping others is helping themselves. These 7 marks are not just signs of future wealth. They are the foundation of all lasting wealth. They are the character qualities that attract and sustain abundance. You either have them or you don't. You either develop them or you stay where you are. Which path will you choose? How to recognize these marks in yourself. Stop lying to yourself. Stop pretending. Stop making excuses. It's time for the most honest conversation you'll ever have with yourself. Time to look in the mirror and see what's really there. Not what you wish was there. Not what you tell people is there. What's actually there. Because here's the truth that will either liberate you or devastate you. You already know whether you have these marks or not. Deep down, beneath all the justifications and rationalizations, you know exactly where you stand. The question is, are you brave enough to admit it? Let's start with an honest self-assessment of your daily behaviors. Not your intentions, not your wishes, your actual behaviors. When scarcity hits, how do you really respond? When the money runs low, when the bills pile up, when unexpected expenses crush your budget, what actually happens inside you? Do you stay calm and strategic, or do you panic and make desperate decisions? Do you maintain your composure, or do you become reactive and emotional? Be honest, because your bank account is already telling you the truth. When was the last time you chose wisdom over money? When was the last time you invested in learning instead of spending on comfort? When did you last turn down immediate money to gain long-term knowledge? If you can't remember, you don't have this mark yet. Here's a brutal question. How much do you need recognition? How often do you share your wins? How important is it for people to know about your progress? Check your social media. Count your posts about success, achievements, purchases, opportunities. The more you post, the less you have this mark. The marked man doesn't need to tell everyone what he's doing. He's too busy actually doing it. What about resilience? Think about your last 3 major setbacks. How did you respond? Did you blame others? Did you make excuses? Did you quit something you should have continued? Or did you take responsibility, learn from what happened, and come back stronger? Your pattern of response to failure tells you everything about your readiness for wealth. Now for the hardest question, your integrity. Think about the last time money was on the line and you had a choice between doing the right thing and doing the profitable thing. What did you choose? Be specific, be honest. If you can't immediately think of a time when you chose integrity over profit, you probably don't face that choice often. And that might mean you're not operating at a level where integrity matters yet. But if you can think of times when you chose profit over principles, you have work to do. What about your vision? Look at how you spend your free time. Look at your conversations. Look at your goals. Are you thinking beyond yourself? Are you building something that will outlast you? Are you solving problems bigger than your own problems? Or are you focused entirely on your immediate needs, your immediate wants, your immediate comfort? Your focus reveals your mark. Finally, your generosity, not your public generosity, your hidden generosity, the help you give when nobody's watching, the kindness you show when there's nothing in it for you. How do you treat people who can't help you? How do you respond when someone needs something from you but has nothing to offer in return? These moments reveal your true character, and character is destiny. Now here's what I want you to understand. You don't need to be perfect in all 7 areas, but you need to be honest about where you actually stand. Because identifying moments when you already acted like a rich person is just as important as identifying areas where you didn't. Maybe you've shown incredible resilience in one area of your life, but lack integrity in another. Maybe you have great vision but struggle with the need for recognition. The goal isn't perfection. The goal is awareness. Honest, brutal, liberating awareness. Understanding that the marks are more about being than having changes everything. These aren't things you do to get wealthy. These are things you become that make wealth inevitable. You can't fake your way to lasting wealth. You can't perform your way to sustainable success. You have to actually become the type of person wealth naturally flows toward. And that transformation starts with honest self-assessment. Look at your daily choices. Look at your automatic responses. Look at your patterns of behavior when nobody's watching. Those patterns are creating your financial results every day, without exception. If you want different results, you need different patterns. If you want wealth, you need wealthy patterns. If you want to be marked for abundance, you need to develop the marks of abundance. This isn't theory. This isn't motivation. This is practical reality. Your current character is creating your current financial situation. Your current habits are producing your current bank account. Your current responses to pressure are determining your current opportunities. Change the character, change the results. Develop the marks, attract the wealth. But it starts with seeing yourself clearly, honestly, without excuses. Are you ready for that level of honesty? How to cultivate these marks to the point of abundance? Here's where most people fail. They understand what they need to do, but they don't understand how to actually do it. They see the marks, they recognize their importance, but they have no practical system for developing them. That ends now. Practicing discipline and wisdom every day is not about massive changes. It's about small, consistent choices that compound over time. Start with serenity and scarcity. The next time money gets tight, instead of panicking, stop, breathe, ask yourself, what would a wealthy person do in this situation? A wealthy person wouldn't make desperate decisions. A wealthy person wouldn't compromise values for quick relief. A wealthy person would stay calm, assess options, and make strategic choices. Practice this every single time scarcity shows up. For wisdom hunger, commit to learning before earning every single day. Before you check social media, read something educational. Before you watch entertainment, study something valuable. Make learning your first priority, not your last resort. But here's the key. Don't just consume information. Apply it immediately. Read something, then find a way to use it that same day. Study a principle, then look for opportunities to implement it. Knowledge without application is just entertainment. For detachment from recognition, start working in silence. Stop announcing every project. Stop sharing every small win. Stop seeking validation for every step forward. Build something without telling anyone. Achieve something without posting about it. Make progress without needing applause. This discipline will liberate you from the need for external validation and allow you to focus entirely on results. Resilience requires intentional difficulty. You can't develop strength without resistance. You can't build resilience without facing challenges. So create challenges. Take on projects that might fail. Start businesses that could collapse. Pursue goals that scare you. Not recklessly, strategically, with calculated risks that force you to grow. And when you fail, and you will fail, practice the response. Analyze what happened, extract the lessons, plan your comeback, then execute immediately. Don't sit in failure, bounce back from failure. Integrity is developed through small daily choices. Every time you're tempted to cut corners, choose the longer path. Every time you could bend the truth for advantage, choose honesty. Every time you could break a commitment for convenience, honor your word. These small choices build the foundation of unshakable character. Vision beyond the immediate requires daily long-term thinking. Instead of asking, "What can I gain today?" ask, "What can I build this decade?" Instead of focusing on immediate problems, focus on permanent solutions. Instead of thinking about your needs, think about others' needs. This shift in focus will reveal opportunities others miss. Hidden generosity starts with helping one person who can't help you back every week without telling anyone. Pay for someone's coffee, help a stranger with directions, give advice to someone who asks, do something kind without expecting anything in return. This creates abundance thinking and attracts abundance results. But here's the deeper truth about cultivating these marks. Accepting trials as part of the process changes everything. Most people try to avoid difficulty. They want the marks without the struggle. They want the character without the challenges. That's impossible. Every mark is forged through fire. Every quality is developed through pressure. Every strength is built through resistance. So when trials come, and they will come, don't try to escape them. Learn from them. Let them shape you. Allow them to develop the marks you need for wealth. The trial that could break you is often the trial that makes you. Finally, living in a way that wealth is not just a destination, but an identity means operating like a wealthy person before you become a wealthy person. Think like wealth is inevitable. Act like abundance is certain. Choose like resources are unlimited. Not through delusion, but through confidence in your ability to create value, solve problems, and serve others. When you live from this identity, you make different choices. You see different opportunities. You attract different results. But understand this. These marks are not developed overnight. They're not created through weekend workshops or motivational videos. They're forged through years of consistent choices. They're built through daily disciplines. They're refined through repeated decisions to do the right thing when it's easier to do the wrong thing. This is not a quick fix. This is a complete transformation. But here's what makes it worth it. Once these marks are developed, once they become part of who you are, wealth becomes inevitable. Not because you're trying to get rich, but because you've become the type of person wealth naturally flows toward. And that's a completely different game. That's a completely different life. The question is, are you ready to play at that level? So now you know. Now you've seen behind the curtain. Now you understand what separates the men who explode into wealth from those who stay trapped forever. These 7 marks aren't suggestions. They're not options. They're requirements. And right now, in this moment, you have a choice that will define the rest of your life. You can close this video and go back to your old patterns, back to your old thinking, back to your old results. Or you can decide that everything changes starting now. Not tomorrow when you feel more ready. Not next week when things settle down. Not next month when you have more time. Now, because here's what I know about you that you might not know about yourself yet. You didn't watch this entire video by accident. You didn't stay until this moment because you were bored. Something inside you recognizes these marks. Something deep in your spirit knows this is your path. The question is, will you have the courage to walk it? Will you develop serenity when scarcity hits? Will you hunger for wisdom over quick money? Will you work in silence while others seek applause? Will you bounce back from failure stronger than before? Will you maintain integrity when cutting corners would be easier? Will you think beyond yourself and build something that matters? Will you give generously when nobody's watching? These aren't just marks of future wealth. These are marks of greatness. These are the qualities that separate legends from the forgotten. And you have the power to develop every single one of them. But power unused is power wasted. Knowledge without action is just entertainment. The men who recognize themselves in these marks, who commit to developing them regardless of their current circumstances, who choose to become wealthy from the inside out, these are the men who transform not just their bank accounts, but their entire existence. This transformation starts with a decision, a commitment, a declaration that you will no longer accept mediocrity. If you want to continue this transformation, don't wait. Subscribe now. Because the journey to wealth is not a destination you arrive at once. It's a daily becoming, a continuous evolution, a relentless pursuit of who you're meant to be. Not tomorrow, not later, now. Your future self is waiting. Your abundant life is calling. Your marked destiny demands action. Now,